3 years ago, joined Keller Williams 3 years ago, been in the business for 25 years, actually 27 now, and closed over $250 million worth of real estate. So it's all I've done in my career. So but I'm really big on stats and how they impact and looking into the future, seeing how the past affects the future, because we have to get in front of the future. We have to get in front of it depending on where we're at. If we're going to sell a home or buy a home or get into investments, we need to know what's going to happen. What is this hospital going to do for our economy? And I think there's the first thing that we're going to have to realize is that the impact to the real estate community has been highly over exaggerated. So we have the reality check that it's not going to be a tsunami of flooding of people in here with 1,400 employees all at once, all needing housing on the first day it opens up. We were led to believe that only through some of the media channels that got misinformation from wherever they got the information. And I was part of putting that information out because I got it from the news and I thought the news was correct. So anyways, that's how David Cry got a hold of me. And I had some YouTube channels. So I have the #1 real estate YouTube channel in the nation right now. And he came to me and he said, some of the information you're putting out is not quite correct. And I go, and he goes, I'm not too appreciative of it. And I said, well, I got it from other sources. And, he goes, I know where you got it from. He goes, why don't I just come and talk and we'll get the right information out there and that way. And I said, sure, come and talk. And so that's where we're at with, that's why David showed up today. And he showed up about 5 months ago at our market center to give us the facts. So these will be up on my YouTube channel because he just gave me permission to do that. So all the information that he just put out, you didn't have to memorize or even write it down. It'll be up there. Okay. I'm going to give you a quick update of the Austin area market, kind of the macro view, and then we're going to come down to the micro view. First of all, we have 8,406 active listings right now in the MLS. That's a lot. That's down from quite a bit from a few years ago. How much do we have? We were up to 12,000 homes available on the market. And I don't, that coming down by that much percentage really is something that helps us have a more solid market, a real more stable market. Thank God we're in Austin, Texas, right? I mean, I've got people coming from all the United States that says you should see what it's like back in my town, my hometown. I mean, really, people losing fortunes in equity that they, it's not a fun situation. So thank God we're here. Active days on the market still 75 days, which has been pretty consistent for the last couple of years. It's been 75 is a pretty equilibrium type of amount of time on the market. Average listing price in the Austin area overall is $277. Average sold price is $266 with a 96.1% ratio. Coming into months of inventory, 4.7. This kind of shocked me, and this is for the last 6 months. So that includes the summertime rush and things like that. But in the last 6 months, we have a 4.7 month supply. Between 5 and 6 months in a real estate market is about equilibrium. You get under 5 months, you actually start headed towards a buyer's market. You get over 6 or 7 months, you actually are, you're in a buyer's market if you are if you're over 6 or 7 months. If you're under 5 months or below, you're in a seller's market, right? Yes. Okay. Sorry, it's been a long day. So 150, only 3.5 months supply, under 150. Those first timers coming out and buying, and the highest amount of inventory is 1 million and plus with 16 months of inventory right now. Lake South MLS area statistics: 535 active homes, a little bit longer on the average days on the market, 146 days on the market. Average list price in this area is $480,000 with an average sold price of $455,000. So you see a little bit difference in the negotiating going on out here in the Lake South area. So months of inventory, a little bit more on the buyer's market side of things with 6.7 months of inventory. Lowest inventory, of course, on the low end, the affordable end, and the highest amount of inventory is 1 million and plus. That's 24 months supply, 2-year supply of $1 million homes. We were hoping that these 120 or 140 doctors that were coming in were going to help that number right here. But we really realized, and talking to David several times, is that a lot of these doctors are local, and they're in Austin or they're in Westlake or whatever, and they're just going to set up shop out here. So though it's going to be great, I just sold thank God I sold a doctor a home that's going to be working at the hospital. So that's good. They are coming from other parts of the country, so that's good. So what really happened? We're talking. The young lady back there talked about Austin rental stats. This is an incredible statistic that you got to be really aware of. That really hit me between the eyes when I started looking at the MLS stats back in the summertime, because I was getting those complaints from people saying, I can't find any place to lease. And of course, I'm a landlord, so I'm like, I haven't had much turnover in the last year or two or three, and I found out that and that they don't have a place to go. You can't just raise the rent $50 and they're going to move. They're pretty much well stuck. So back in summer of this year, I looked at 78738 zip code, which is where the hospital is, and there were 4 houses for lease in the entire zip code. Now it's gotten better. But this is the winter, it's the fall winter time, so it's gotten better. Now in the summer in Austin, the citywide supply was 1/2 to 1.1 months supply. That is an incredibly tight supply of rentals, and I could go into a lot of reasons why. Immigration is really the big thing, but also the lack of investors buying investment properties. In fact, it's much more difficult to buy investment properties. For anything, they're selling their investment properties to free up some cash. Less and less investment homes out there, more and more people moving. It's going to create that shortage. Right now, we're at a 2 to 2.4 month supply of rental homes in the Austin area, which is not too bad. It's still very tight. Rental rates went up citywide 7% in 2010. In fact, they could have gone up a lot higher. I raised my rent. I have a home in the preserve at Lakeway. I was charging $15.95. I went to $1,700 like that. I could have got $1,800, but I didn't want to really, go too far too fast. But I could. So 7% was pretty much. If you had $1,000 rental, it's $1,070 now, and that's pretty normal. 97% occupancy in rental housing. That's a very, very low margin. Only 3% vacancy right now. Okay, some highlights of the market in Lake South. I looked at the stats. The Uplands, our community down the street here, had 5.8% appreciation since July of not this year, but July of last year. So it's a year and a few months. And average time was 47 days on the market. The low lights, and I like Spanish Oaks, but this is the statistic, was that it's down 19.4%. And the appreciation rate was down 19.4%, and the days on the market were the longest in this area at 172. Now I know that Spanish Oaks is coming back because they just had a big meeting here, and there's definitely going to be some improvement in that multi-million-dollar market. So I'm just giving you the stats. I didn't don't kill the messenger. Okay, so what's ahead here? What we're looking at is more immigration to Lakeway. People are finding out about Lakeway. Well, a lot of it has to do with our great school district. Really has to do when we've become known as the place where if you can't afford Eames, come on out west, and we'll put you into the Lake Travis, and we like Lake Travis Elementary. Independent school districts. My kids have been in it. They love it. In fact, in summertime, my kids were like, "Oh, I want to get back to school." I'm like, wow, I want to get back to school. Yeah, I want to be with my friends, and I love learning and all this stuff. It's a far cry from when I was in high school. When I was in high school, it was not cool to be smart. So now it's cool to be smart, cool to be athletic, and all that fun stuff. So we have a great lake life and a high demographic. The rest of the nation and the world are coming. And what's really neat that's going to happen is this is going to start turning into, over the next couple of years, a major medical community. And what I mean by that is you're going to start seeing people in scrubs running over to the Starbucks, over to Ronnie's shop there at the Java Dive, and that's why he was asking about the shift work, because he was like, "Oh, and we want to get those people out there. When do I need to keep my shop open longer? Isn't that great news? Do I need to keep it 24 hours open?" And that's going to be really, really good news for all of them. He said 300 jobs right off the bat. 300, 350. He's being very conservative because of the big giant numbers that were before, but I don't blame him for being conservative. But what happens when I studied Dell's demographics, when Dell was bringing in so many people, for every for every salaried $50,000, $40,000, $60,000 a year job, that usually supports 3 more people or more jobs in the community, right? Because they got to go to the coffee shop, they've got to go to the dry cleaner and all that. So that's what's going to start multiplying, is that more people move here, more with high-paying jobs. There's going to be more needs for more services, and we're all going to benefit from that. We are also going to see less immigration from the aging population One of the reasons why, Lakeway started out was more of a retirement and a resort community, as many of you who've been in this room longer than I have know. And so now the demographics age-wise had dropped down incredibly down from the average thing was like 48, 49 was the average demographic a few years ago, down into the high 30s, low 40s. But many years ago it was in the closer to 60 was the average demographic. Well, one of the big reasons was for the immigration, people leaving Lakeway, is they didn't have good medical services. So once they got to the point of not being able to, they didn't have, what is this? I had at 48 years old, I had my third baby last year. So but it took us 35 minutes to get to the hospital from here. We almost didn't make it. So it would have been one of those stories that you see on those great TV shows. So we're going to keep our aging population here. There's going to be there is already a micro market building boom. I'm sure I know that Sally's been looking at the stats for all the different areas that we keep track of. Well, we'll talk about the different areas here in a second. Falcon Head West is almost closed out, right? If I'm not wrong. Rocky Creek is in full swing. They've sold. I can't keep up with how many homes they've sold. Montebello is Sally's community, just down from Rocky Creek, much more affordable. D.R. Horton home's just 5 more minutes down the road. Flint Rock's doing well. Rough Hollow's doing well. It has a new water park coming in 2012, and it's a really nice water park. I think you've seen the billboards out there if you've been driving around. But it's going to be neat. I want to have some friends in Rough Hollow because the preserve is doing well. Serene Hills this is what's kind of neat. This is really where we're going is we're headed out west. So if you look here, this is our Lakeway map, and you have the hospital here. And you have Falcon Head West here, and you have Flint Rock Falls here, and then you have the hills here, Lakeway proper, and then we've got this whole area in here is Rough Hollow. So this area is where we're moving out west here, and Rough Hollow really is about the last of the big giant communities that it'll take years and years to finish, but it's really nice and it's doing quite well, and then what's really been excellent, what's the name of the road that goes through? Highland Boulevard. Open up access to the backside of Lakeway off of 71. That's a big, big, big deal. And then we have Serene Hills, which is right here. That opened up another artery of ways to get around the traffic. We had the gentleman that was concerned about traffic over here. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people, that's why Falcon Head West was so popular, was that you didn't have to get through this whole section. You could jump right onto 71 and you were into town. So Serene Hills right here is on its way to being developed. You'll probably see some stuff coming up in 2012 on that. And I think I see some bulldozers out there right now. So that's good news. And then out west, we have down Hamilton Pool Road, we have the Rocky Creek subdivision, a couple other ones, some ones that are coming up. And it's going to be in Montebello out there with the D.R. Horton community near Highway 12. So once again, this is where we're moving, is out west. Okay, some challenges that we have in the market is the lake level, 627. So, it's a pretty huge economic impact for those that have lake-related jobs and things like that. And it's an impact to the real estate that people that are viewing property, they can't see the lake, and they're looking at these what used to be there, or the sometimes islands are now like the sometimes peninsula, but that's an opportunity for buyers to get a great deal on lake property. So you've got to look at the opportunities here. Is that a lot of times people can't see past the fact that there's no lake there, but 9 years out of 10 or 7 years out of 10, there is a lake right there. So it is, but sellers have to adjust. The credit squeeze is still there. There's still none of those no income, no doc loans we used to get to be able to sell our property so easily just a few years ago. There's a conforming loan limit, still 417, and so sellers need to be flexible and creative with their housing, with their sales, to be able to be creative with financing. Maybe carry some paper to be able to get the property sold or whatever it may be. So. And what we're looking at right now here is a rental housing shortage, okay? And really, when the hospitals are going to open up, in May, April, May, that's when everybody's making their moves anyways, and that's where we had the half-month supply of rentals just not too long ago. Say, Greg, can you turn the air conditioning down? It's kind of warm in here. At least it is for me. And so we're going to give you some stats here. This is the current stats. In the Lake Travis Independent School District, we have a 2.2-month supply. In the Eaton School District, we have a 2.2-month supply. Their rental rates are average about 0.90 per square foot. In Lake Travis Independent School District, about $1.15 $1.15 per in the Eanes. In 78734 and 78738, pretty much the same story, about 2 months supply. And this is in the slowest time of the rental market. So we're going to be up. I know there's some apartment complexes, but we're going to need more housing. And what that does is when the medical center opens up, it's going to put more pressure on the supply and drive the rental rates up. So anybody who owns rental property, great. Anybody that needs to buy rental property, call me. I'll help you out, and we'll get you in on this stuff. Right now, opportunities, cash is king. We're seeing more cash deals than we've ever seen in the past, in the recent years. People are just stepping up, and they're tired of dealing with the banks, and they're just paying cash for it. Owner financing is another route for people to be going, because you think about it, rates, if you can get a loan, is 4% or 4.25%. Owner financing or carrying a second for people that are trying to sell allows them to be able to get a higher rate of return. What are they going to do? Put it in the stock market or put it in a CD and get 0% or 0.1%? So people are starting to look around, especially in this high demographic. There's a lot of old money here. There's a lot of nouveau money here. They're looking for places to put their money that they can actually get some kind of return. And they're realizing in the long run that real estate is not really a bad investment. It just got a bad rap for the last couple of years. All right, so more getting back into real estate. Some are using their self-directed IRAs, and I can do a whole seminar on that, which I will in the near future. So make sure if you guys sign up on my mailing list, there's a self-directed IRA LLC that can be set up where people can truly self-direct their IRAs and buy real estate through their IRAs and bypass the whole dealing with the banks. Now, we still love the banks, but right now they're holding on to their cash. How about that stock market, huh? Yeah, this is interesting. I looked at this, and this is one of the reasons why people are getting a little frustrated with the whole dealing with the stock market. This is the last 5 years of the stock market. Imagine your 401k. What a roller coaster! And if you look at this, I mean, even look in the last 2 weeks, what a roller coaster it's been. It's just been incredible roller coaster ride. So if you bought it 5 years ago and got if you were just buying the Dow Jones, it would be here, and 5 years later, you'd be here, just about minus 4.6%. Now, a few days ago, it was a lot different. It was a lot higher, and everybody was woohoo, and then now it's back to depression. So this is an interesting. I took this from FHFA, which is the Federal Housing Finance, the government's website that they use actually for census bureaus and all statistics. This is for the Austin area. If you bought using that same chart 5 years ago, 2006, if you bought a house in 2006 for $400,000, and of course it rode that 2006, 2007 wave up, it would be worth now, after some adjustments, average in the Austin area right about $460,000. So that's not a bad return compared to the roller coaster ride of the stock market. And so that's why we're encouraging people who are thinking about real estate as an investment that this is the reality, and this is the reality, even during our really, really tough times. Austin is different, and so is Lakeway. All right, great time to buy. Low supply, high demand, low interest rates, less investors, more renters. By the way, a little pitch for Lake Travis. I know we've got a lot of Keller Williams agents in here. We outsell everybody else combined. So a little sales pitch, and I'm glad to be a part of this team. Okay, so there's my contact information. I hope this information has been helpful. We're going to have about a 5-minute break, and then we're going to have Ross Free talk about the commercial market, and then Susan Bone after that to talk about the Lake Travis Independent School District. And so you can talk about the bond too? Okay, absolutely. All right.